Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kurt. Welcome back to Farlands or Bust. This is episode 676 of the series. And would you look at that? I know, we're looking at it. 2 golden apples in our inventory. What order of madness has taken place here? Oh, man. If you missed it, last episode was quite an episode, wasn't it? We found only our second golden apple in over 7 years, in 675 episodes. The first one we found on episode 311, which was a unique time to find it because episode 11 is when I started walking, actually, to the Farlands. So whenever we hit whatever 11, we try to celebrate it, but it's happened so far 6 times that we've passed 111, 211, 311, running out of special things to do. And I was lamenting the fact that I didn't have anything special for episode 311, and then right away, we got our first golden apple. I was just talking about in episode 675 how I'm not going to get bored of this anytime soon because the game keeps surprising us, and then, sure enough, surprise, have another of the rarest item in Minecraft Beta 173. This is an old version of the game. Apples do not fall from trees. Even if you could somehow hack an apple into the game, you can't craft. The crafting recipe for a golden apple doesn't exist if you had bars of gold. This is the only way to find an apple, and it happens to be a golden apple, is in spawner chests, and it occurs 0.8%, 0.8% chance of a golden apple to spawn in a dungeon chest. And we found two, and we're surfing. Da, 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 da. Well, that was convenient. Never had to touch the water. We found 2. It's craziness. You know what else is craziness? Check out that number over on farlandsorbust.com for the fundraiser for Direct Relief. Remember last episode we were at like 2,700 something. Now we are at 12,345.67. I'm sorry, that's actually an old number. That was 12345.67. Our friend Zcar donated a specific amount to get us to that. But actually today we're at $12,390.67. A very generous Wolfie, a very generous Farlander, anonymously donated $10,000 after episode 675 for finding the golden apple. This is truly worth its weight in gold. So I do appreciate whoever you may be, anonymous donor, for that very generous donation to Direct Relief. And everybody for your very generous donations to Direct Relief. farlandsorbust.com is where you can find the fundraiser information and donate button and widget, which will take you to Tiltify. Tiltify is the system we're using to donate all of those funds directly to Direct Relief. And we're keeping track of it through that, so I do appreciate it. Holy moly, a big push towards that $50,000 goal. Of course, when we raise $50,000, not only is that amazing and a lot of money for a great cause, but it's also when we will press F3 after we reach that $50,000 goal to see how far we've walked in over 7 years to the far lands. Much appreciated indeed. As we continue on here, indeed. Indeed! How many more times can I say indeed? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Was it somebody at some point made like a mashup video where they just spliced together all the times I said indeed over the course of a few episodes. That was interesting. It was interesting indeed. So yeah, we are continuing on. I do appreciate all the responses to that. Kind of did a little bit of a, not quite clickbait, but all caps, exclamation points. People were guessing maybe it was another rounding error that we floated the point again. That's still a bit of ways away, although we're closer to it now than we have been. As we get further, the block selection and simply the precision of our placement in the world gets less and less so. As you can see, the selection box we've discovered is 2 texture pixels off. The next time it happens, it'll be twice as far away, but it'll be twice as big of a jump. See, prior to this, it was 1 pixel off, and then it jumped to 2 pixels off. The next time, it'll be 4 pixels off, the jitteriness. And then after that, it'll be 8 pixels off, which is half an entire block. And then that final time is a full block. Which I'm not sure if that is specifically at the far lands, or it's a little bit into the far lands, I think. I'm not sure. Woof indeed. Science and math and numbers and things. Exciting. So yeah, we are continuing west here. What did I want to talk about? There was something I wanted to talk about, and I've forgotten in the excitement of the fundraiser for Direct Relief. I had an anecdote. I had an anecdote, Wolfie. I almost called Wolfie Juno. I had an anecdote, and I've forgot it. Dang it! Ah, nuts. Ah, it was a good anecdote too, and I forgot it. Well, it's a good thing we have all these donations coming in, because along with them, some of you have been asking questions for me to talk about here in episodes. For just the situation where I run out of things to talk about, or my patented poor memory gets me again, and it has. So this one from Square Goldfish. What will you do if you find a golden apple and a golden record in the same spawner? I'm not sure. Along with the golden apple, a golden record is a rare thing. Not as rare, but a rare thing, although a cursed thing. The few times we have picked up and or touched golden records, bad things have happened. Bad things have happened indeed. I think the first golden record we found was during the second Flobathon? Third Flobathon? Second Flobathon? And that's when the game froze. I reloaded the game, and then Wolfie had disappeared, and I didn't have a backup. That's one of the sources of my obsessive backing up of the world now. We didn't have a backup, so we had to continue the rest of the Flobathon without Wolfie, presuming Wolfie may be gone forever. Everybody was sad. But then, at the beginning of Season 4... yeah, sure, Season 4, we did a little bit of magic, and we invoked the Hidey Hole Paradox to bring him back. This is all stuff you can look up. I realized I had to explain Golden Records, then I had to explain Wolfie disappearing, and now I'd have to explain the Hidey Hole Paradox. There's a lot has happened in 676 episodes, let me tell you that. But, yeah, I'm not sure if they would cancel each other out. A golden apple and a golden record, and it would just be kind of a... not cursed. maybe to cleanse the curse, I have to eat the golden apple. But yeah, we found a few more, I don't know, a handful even, of golden records, and we usually just leave them. We usually call the entire dungeon cursed and take nothing of value from it. I think if that ever happens, which it's taken 676 episodes just to find 2 golden apples. I think we'll have to wait another 300 or so, 400 episodes before we find the next golden apple. So the chances of that, plus the chances of finding that, along with a golden record. Keep this quote in mind for you know, a few years from now when that might happen. that would be quite the abundance of happenstances to take place. But who knows? Anything is possible in the Farlands of Bust world. And awakeness. And awakeness indeed. Do I take a boat? I think so. Joel also asked a question I kind of just answered. Has the block offset changed significantly since the last one on episode 471? Okay, well, thank you very much for reminding me what episode that was at. No. No, Joel, it has not, because it doesn't happen gradually. I thought it happened gradually. Just like I also, when I first started the journey, I incorrectly thought that the Farlands happened gradually, like as we went further and further, the world generation would get more and more fractured. The Farlands are quite sudden. Everything except for the block offset seems all normal and hunky-dory until 12,550,820 blocks, when suddenly it's Farlands, just a vertical wall of the lands of Far. Same thing with the block offset. They're both not related problems, but the block offset happens at specific borders. And it happens, it doubles every time. What is that? Incrementally? Categorically? What's that? There's a mathematical term for exponentially. I don't think exponentially. It just doubles every time. It might be exponentially. We first noticed a block offset during the first Flobathon, way back in 2011. It was just very slight. It was very slight. We were under 300,000 blocks away from spawn, as that first F3 number was 292,202. This whole place. Speaking of the terrain generation getting all slightly fractured. Oh, dang it. It's all ice. Can't just jump into ice. Let's go this way. What was I saying? Oh yeah, it was slightly off. And then it went pretty much unnoticed because it was such a slight offset until that time it went from 1 block to 2 block. And I'd passed it up until later in the episode I noticed, hey, the block offset is doubled. It used to be 1 block, texture block off, now it's 2. So we actually had to, like, in the next episode, turn around and do some science and try to find that border, and that we did. So the next time, I think it's going to be extremely obvious. It's going to be extremely obvious because it might be unplayable at 4 texture blocks off, texture pixels off. So that'll be super noticeable. But yeah, it only happens like as you cross the threshold from 1 block to the next. So that'll be interesting indeed. There is a fix. There is a fix that I can basically make a patch to the actual code of Minecraft. It doesn't change anything else other than the positioning. Doesn't change the Farlands or where the Farlands spawn or anything like that. It just fixes the offset. So I'm still... It'll be interesting to reach that point and maybe live with it for a little bit. But I think for the sake of this being a video series, and one that people like to watch, and one that I need to be able to physically play myself, we might have to enable that fix just to make it possible to continue. That'll be really weird when that happens. I tell you what, that'll be really weird if that's something we enact. But thank you very much, Joel, for your donation and question. Our friend Great Scott LP asked, what's been your favorite single thing that's happened as a result of Flob so far? And what are you looking to get out of the next few years as you get closer to finishing? Oh, Scott. So naive. Few years getting closer to finishing. Ha! Ha, I say. We're only 26% of the way there, or thereabouts. It's going to be a bit more than a few years. But, single favorite thing that's happened. That's always a tough one to answer. Obviously, the expected answer, and the one I'm going to give, is the charity fundraiser. Over the course of 7 years, I'm amazed that surrounding this thing that I'm doing, we've raised over $400,000 for charity. Now $410,000, 412, 415, because I think it was 403,000 was the total for Child's Play charity, and now we're at 12,000 for direct release. So $415,000 for charitable causes over the course of 7 years is beyond anything I thought that I would do in my life. Wolfie, how did you get hurt? You didn't even bark or do anything. Pork chops. Hey you, pork chops. There we go. Boop. Yeah, prior to starting this, I never really did much as far as charitable giving or even like charitable volunteering. Not that I didn't support such causes, but it just wasn't something I was like raised to doing, and I was not really surrounded by other people who did such things. So it just never was a part of my life. So to be able to organize that, and it really is the fans, obviously, the Farlanders, who have given so much and reached those milestones. So I have you guys to thank for that. So yeah, that's something I never expected. Obviously, there's the Guinness World Records. It's an interesting experience, and you know, a little feather in the cap. That's just kind of like, huh, okay. That's also something I never expected. You know, meeting all the people I've met and made friends with and continue to make friends with and get closer with. Yeah, it's really tough to say, being part of, you know, this is the series I started my YouTube gaming channel with. So everything I currently have has kind of spawned from this, even if, yes, I've become a variety gamer, streamer, YouTuber, whatever. You know, everything from joining Mindcrack and being part of the marathons with them, and the convention stuff, panels, meetups, parties with them, and all the people I've met through that. You know, it's all thanks to, quote-unquote, this Farlands or Bust, but I think just related to Farlands or Bust, obviously the charity stuff is a huge deal. The hugest of deals. Whoa! Let's not walk that specific direction. Easy now, easy. I've been told that the golden apple heals all of your hearts. So, in the case I accidentally fall into lava, bucket of water, golden apple. that's the hopefully the thing I can burn into my muscle memory instead of panicking and freaking out. What are you looking forward to getting out of the next few years? Honestly, I'm a person of habit and comfort and stability. So to just continue with the same with the same stuff, just to continue with the same thing we've been getting out of it and putting into it. Continuing the charity. You know, it would certainly be interesting to all of a sudden, well, yeah, we met our goal, hooray! And then like the next goal, let's try to raise 100,000 and 1 million. You know, to do stuff like that would be crazy and like amazing, but it would also be kind of overwhelming and not at all my style. As you know, that's not my jam. The big, flashy, big time, you know. Let's have celebrity guests and call-ins. You know, that's generally not. I almost felt like that was a direction I had to take it, and perhaps that's where a lot of the stress was coming in, and why we've kind of switched gears to the stress-free, chill out. We're just walking to the far lands, helping out charities. You know, maintaining a nice, calm, mature community here. I'm trying to think of nice words to call my community. And really stress-free, you know, we're just living life. We're just living life and doing what we can and having fun. And I appreciate, of course, everybody else, you know, traveling along with us, with me, with us, and along together. Indeed. Indeed. Yeah, thank you, Scott. Woof. All right. Boop, beep, pop. And I still haven't remembered what that anecdote topic I had in my mind was, so we're just gonna go to sleep and continue answering questions in the morning. And forgetfulness. Ooh. Ow! Twisted my ankleness. Speaking of twisted ankles, Wolfie. Ooh, woof. Deep voice. Boop. Dravir. Ooh, Dravir, look at this cool place over here. Dravir asks, and are themselves running out of topics and questions. What exactly is the function of a rubber duck? The credit for this question, they're taking questions, goes to Arthur. Arthur giving questions to Javir. This is a strange chain letter situation. What exactly is the function of a rubber duck? To resemble a waterfowl and to float upon the water foully. Does that make sense? Is that the function that we can agree on? Hey, speaking of rubber, what? I don't think this was the topic I was thinking of, but I just had a question. I weirdly, and maybe not so weird, but I live in a community that doesn't recycle soft plastics. That's to say plastic bags, plastic film, hard plastics, plastic bottles, trays, whatever, things like that they recycle, but they don't accept the plastic baggies and things. And there's always and increasingly news about how plastics are contaminating our oceans mostly, but also, they never biodegrade. They just break up into little pieces and end up, causing these huge swarms of trash clouds in the ocean, trash islands that just float around and end up being found in the digestive systems of dolphins and fish and wildlife and things. It's just one of those things that you wonder, why don't we just stop making plastics? Obviously that's not entirely possible or feasible, but disposable plastics maybe. And certainly states like California have started trying to edge that way with their ban on plastic bags. Or alternately where they charge they'll, grocery stores will charge you if you choose plastic bags or don't bring your own bags to dissuade such things. Other cities I've lived in have been able to take recycled bags, but I'm assuming, and it seems like a lot of smaller communities, their equipment will get jammed up, and that's why they can't take plastic bags and soft plastics. I mean, and even plastic bottles, you think, why don't we switch a lot of these containers back to glass? I could be wrong, but it seems to me like glass is more universally acceptable to recycle, and even if it does end up in the trash or in the oceans, it will break apart, and instead of floating, it will sink and slowly wear away down to little particles that just end up turning back into sand, which is what glass is to begin with, mostly. Sure, it'll be more expensive, and that's probably the biggest thing, and the biggest reason why bottling companies widely tend not to put things in glass. It's because of the expense. And then that expense goes on to the consumer, and the consumer doesn't want to pay that. They'd rather pay less for a cheap, flimsy plastic bottle. It's less weight to ship. There's so many variables. But it's just one of those things. Whenever I encounter disposable plastics, I'm like, this could be some other material that I could just throw into the recycling without having to think about it twice. Thinking like, is my recycling going to take this? So yeah, that wasn't at all the topic I thought of talking about, but I just thought about it because somebody mentioned the rubber duck. Obviously, I don't have all the answers. These are just thoughts that are popping into my head throughout the day that don't have any sort of research put behind them or anything like that, and have no suggestion for action other than, why is it this way? It's more of a question, a pondering than an answer or an opinion being given. So yeah, thank you for listening. This has been one of Kurt's random ponders. Oh boy. Xavier asks, how was your first experience driving a car? Did your parental units teach you how to drive on the back roads before driving in the city? Did you participate in getting your driver's license so you could drive anywhere you wanted? Or did you anticipate getting your driver's license? My literal first time driving a car, I was with my family. I was probably 14, 15. And we had, like, I think a Chevy Astro van. Very big, boxy van from the 90s. And I think we did, like, a hike or something at a local forest preserve or something, and I drove, like, down the path from, like, one parking lot to the next. And it lasted all of, like, 8 minutes, at most 5 minutes. Just because my parents wanted me to get used to, like, what it felt like to drive behind the wheel or whatever like that really quick. That was the literal first experience. I don't remember too much about it. It was perhaps kind of high pressure because my sisters were also in the car, as was my mom and dad. So, I don't remember too much about it. And then I would be practicing. We only ever had trucks and SUVs. My dad had a pickup truck, and my mom had like a GMC Jimmy, which is, early SUV. So it was always in trucks that I would practice. So when I did go for my high school to get my driver's license, and we were driving, Cavaliers and Corollas, it was a little bit of a shift of perspective, changing from, like, the upright seated position, being able to see up and over everybody. This was, like, kind of before everybody owned an SUV and big car. It was before the days of the giant Acadias and Hummers and, the Suburbans, the Suburbans were around, obviously, but everybody didn't own them. So that was a bit of a shift. But I did very well. I did very well in driver's ed. So much so that I got, I think the deal was if you get like A's in both the written and your driving part of driver's ed, then I didn't have to actually take a test at the DMV. I took a written test at the DMV, but I didn't have to take the driver's test at the DMV, so I've never taken a driver's test for my driver's license at the actual DMV. Knock on wood, I never will have to. So, that's good. But, yeah, just because I got the good grades. I got the good grades, my friends. Stay in school. Eat raw vegetables. So, yeah, I don't remember. I remember the other people I was driving with in driver's ed were very bad right off the bat. One of them hit a curb and they had to like replace the wheel because she bent the rim. And I was just in the back seat like, ooh. But yeah, I actually didn't. I lived in the suburbs, so it was many, many years after I even got my driver's license that I even drove in the city, by the city being Chicago. I'm a bit more comfortable now. It's a lot more comfortable to drive in the cities, any city now that GPS and Google Maps directions are available. Prior to that, I did a lot of like printing out of directions and writing them down and printing them out on Google Maps and stuff. Like before I would go on a vacation, I would find all the places I needed to go and then print out all the different maps of how to get from point A to point B, because smartphones weren't a thing yet and I didn't have one for quite a while. So yeah, there's a lot more comfort now in having a robotic voice tell you which way to go and what to expect, and being able to, prior to like reaching a new destination, actually look it up on the Google Street View and be like, oh, okay, this is where I can park, and this is what the front looks like, and this is on the corner of this street I need to turn on. But yeah, no, my learning how to drive experience was pretty bland, I feel. No surprises there. And yeah, it was pretty exciting to get my license, but at that age, I didn't really have anywhere to go. It did, there really wasn't, there wasn't like, oh, let's go on a ride, or let's go here, now I can go wherever I want. I didn't have my own car for a while, until I think my senior-ish year in high school. And even then, I didn't drive it to school. It was only so I could get to wherever I worked at the time. Woof, Wolfie remembers. Wolfie wasn't there. Minecraft wasn't there. Computers weren't there. No, yeah, they were. The internet wasn't there, that's for sure. So yeah, thank you for these questions. I've got to carry around a notepad or something to write down these topic ideas. Oh boy. Bloop. Oh boy, indeed. So once again, I do appreciate everybody's generosity, no matter what you've donated to Direct Relief at farlandsorbust.com. It goes towards not only a great cause, but towards reaching this $50,000 goal for Season 7 here of Far Lands or Bust. And when you do donate, don't forget to include a question if you have one. It helps me out a lot. It helps me out a lot. I need a lot of help. And you guys are there, and I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Right, Wolfie? Right. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Kurt. I will see you next time. That's not my jam.